My name's Bruce Fenton. I'm going to come to every single one of these. It's really great to see what a huge crowd and how this has developed. Mo's done a great job. Hope that everybody has as good of experience as I did. Coming to one of the first ones of these, or the first one, was an interesting, life-changing experience. It was one of the things that put me on this road to crypto that I've been sort of delved into ever since. I'm going to cover a real quick method called Spacesuit X, which is an open source method for analyzing digital assets. So it's just a quick, simple acronym, basically. I'll go through the letters. It's an acronym that looks for 10 things. You'll notice it's 10 letters. 10 things you should look for in considering a digital asset. Could be Bitcoin, could be an ICO, any digital asset. I'll go through this method. My background, I came from the financial services industry, worked about 25 years, owned an investment firm, did a couple other things, and then got into Bitcoin. So I thought this method, and by the way, this is open source. You're free to use it, blog it, make a report, make your own site, use it for profit purposes, start a hedge fund, whatever you want. So this method, let's see here. Okay, here we go. That's just my background. I'm also with Medici Ventures, which is part of Overstock, Bitcoin Foundation, a couple other things. You know about this, what a ledger is. So here's what this acronym stands for. Spacesuit X. These are 10 things that I think are important to look at when you're evaluating a digital asset. The trick with digital assets is you can't really compare apples to apples. With stocks, you can compare Microsoft and Apple and Cisco and IBM and Exxon and have pretty similar metrics. They all have earnings, they all have balance sheets, they all have quarterly reports, they all have their similar filings. With digital assets, it's completely all over the board. There's no annual report for Bitcoin, there's no earnings or liabilities or assets, balance sheets, things like that. So we need to invent a new way of evaluating whether these are good or not. Some of them are just plain bad, some of them are good. This hopefully is some tools. And also it's something to look at other than market cap. Market cap is a very misleading indicator because, as many people have pointed out, if I created Bitcoin today, for example, and the first 7,200 coins came out in day one, and you bought one of those coins for $10, say, yeah, sure, new Bitcoin, or we call it Bitcoin 3 or whatever, however many we're up to, Bitcoin 10, and we came out with it, and you bought one coin for $10, then the market cap is almost as high as the real Bitcoin. So does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. It's the same thing as people have said, you know, I make a new coin, issue 1,000 coins, sell one for $1,000, you have $1 billion market cap. So anyway, those 10 things are things that you look for. Security, and I'll go through these actually one by one. So, and then you assign each of those values as a value from 0 to 10. And then at the end, you'll have a score of 1 to 100. So first thing is security. How secure is this blockchain? How secure is the smart contract? Most digital assets are based on ERC-20 tokens on Ethereum. So you want to see like how secure is that? There's been some problems with some. How secure is the contract? And then also evaluate how secure is the Ethereum blockchain or whatever blockchain it is on. Bitcoin has a very secure blockchain, for example, that has been tested and proven and attacked, so that would probably have a very high rating for security. What are you getting for your investment? Is this usable? Is it a security? You know, a lot of times people make a mistake saying, oh, this ICO is super cool, they're gonna, I don't want to pick on any ridiculously bad idea because it might be a real person's idea, but they're gonna do something really, really stupid and it's gonna be great and make a bunch of money. Okay, maybe, but how do you know you're gonna get any of that? Could be a great idea, but if you don't participate in it, and that's the problem with a lot of these scammy utility tokens. Typically, utility tokens are either illegal securities or they've got really good lawyers where they made it not a security, but the purpose in most of them isn't to have a utility or have anything that's useful for you to participate, it's for them to raise money. So the ICO people sit around, they say, let's raise a bunch of money, everybody's raising money, people are throwing all kinds of money at stupid things, we could raise $50 million. How do we do it? Call the lawyers. The lawyer says, don't be a security, man, that's good, big trouble. Make a utility coin. So then they go back and they say, okay, here's our plan. We're going to put dog training on the blockchain. All right, how do we make it a utility? I know, we'll make a token, and you got to pay for the token to get the dog training. Those aren't going to work. It's essentially a roundabout way for people to avoid securities laws. Unless you're really getting real utility, you're not getting anything. So what are you participating in for your investments beyond having a good idea? Same with accounting and legal. You know, how do you know how many tokens there are? Is this legal? Is it illegal? Maybe you don't care. Maybe it matters depending on how you're investing. Community management and team is really important. Who's managing it? Who's behind it? What are their technical creds? Is there a community? Is it a real community, or is it just marketing that's gone out and pushed a bunch of people into a get-rich-quick Telegram group? Is it a real community that's really rolling up their sleeves and developing and building tools and doing things around the technology? Or is it just a whole bunch of people talking about how they're going to get rich when it goes to the next point in the ICO or whatever? So looking at who the community is. Earnings are another important one, and that's kind of basic in any equity type of thing. And again, this is where we see a disconnect between plans and ideas, and how is that going to affect you in your pocket. Once the project earns something, will it earn something? And then you have to follow the money. So when you're reading these white papers or marketing documents, if it says, we have a great idea for ICO, this, which does dog training on the blockchain or whatever, and then you say, that's a brilliant idea. Okay, how am I going to get money from that? So suppose they make $1 billion on their idea. Read the fine print. It doesn't mean your token's going to make anything. Your token may just be a worthless piece of digital nothing. And the company that issued, since you don't have equity, typically with tokens, they make a lot of money. Like Oculus Rift, they did a fundraising thing for their VR headset, raised $8 million. They just kept the money, and then they used that, and then they got acquired by, I think it's Amazon. So supply and demand. Is the coin supply fixed? Is it limited? Personally, I like limited supplies like Bitcoin. How's the supply decided? Who issues more tokens? These kind of things. What is it used for? All right. If it's a utility token, you've got to really ask a super hard question. Is anybody going to use this? Is it really useful? Do you really need it? And will somebody else take an open source idea? Because if it's a truly great idea, somebody else may take an open source idea and issue the same thing. So you want to say, what is it going to be used for? Is it currency? Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. A couple others are trying to be currency. That's a very, very different thing from an equity. It's a very different thing from a utility token. It's a very different thing from an API key. That's why you need sort of some sort of common language that you can evaluate these kind of things. Because if you're saying the value of this is currency, people are going to use it for goods and services. They're going to use it for the same reasons that make a currency good: fungibility, usability, acceptability, durability, all these things that, the principles of money. That's super different from, I think this idea is going to do well and that will translate to my profits somehow in the token, or I think this API key or whatever, it's going to be Rails or something. So you want to say, what is the usability? What is the industry backing, institutional backing? Who's working on it? Does it have any partners? Are there big companies? That may be a bad thing, actually, depending. Do they have any JVs? Who are the actual people and everything behind it? Technical is really key also. With a huge number of digital assets, it's interesting. A lot of people jump into digital assets because they want exposure to blockchain, because they believe blockchain technology is going to be a good thing. I believe that as well. With many projects, particularly a lot of tokens and ICOs, they don't really have any technical details at all. They haven't invented anything. They just are using blockchain technology. They're using Ethereum, typically, and ERC20 token to raise money, but that doesn't mean by participating in your token, you're participating in blockchain. It's like saying, if I buy a book on Amazon, I'm participating in the internet. You sort of are, but you're not going to generate profits from that. So it's important if you believe in the technology. Now, that may not matter. In some cases, you may say, this is so usable, I don't really care. I think it's going to be a good investment, even if it doesn't have unique technology. But in many cases, it makes sense to look and say, well, what are the real technical details of this? Is it just piggybacking on another project? Or is there anything unique about this particular project and blockchain? And will it give me the exposure that I want? If I want exposure to VR, maybe I go into a VR fund or something like that. Will it give me exposure into blockchain if that's what I'm looking for? XFactor. In case I forgot anything, you add that in there. Be careful of that. You may say, something unique about it, something you like about the plan or the team or something like that. Those are, that's where you add anything. So then you take that, you take all 10, and you assign each of those your own value. So you say security. I think Bitcoin security is a 9. I think, depending what coin you're rating, I think XYZ ICO's security is a 4. you rate those, and then you'll have a number. Hopefully analysts, hopefully there's some analysts in the room, hopefully analysts will take this thing, use this as a tool. As I said, it's open source, it's free, Creative Commons, it's a gift. If you don't like it, you get your money back, it's free. So use it, and you can use it, and you're free to adapt it or whatever. I think it'd be nice if people have more of a common standard. So you know, if you use this tool, you just tweet it, say here's a Spacesuit X analysis that we did, and you know, I'll try and retweet it. Here's some more information. I'll cover a couple quick more things. I'm actually ahead of schedule. I talk sort of fast. So this is where you can find out about Spacesuit X. Chainstone Labs, there's not much there because it's mostly confidential. My company, Atlantic Financial. I'm on Facebook at Bruce Fenton. If you take out your phone, follow me on Facebook. I'm sorry, not Facebook, Twitter. Either one is fine. But Twitter, I tend to make more announcements and cover these things like Spacesuit X. Spacesuit X has its own site. Let's see, I got 2 minutes left. I'll talk real quickly about a coin that I'm working on. I helped found it. It's called Raven Coin, which is, I'm trying to get this word out as much as possible because the effort with this coin was to be a fair issuance. You can't buy it. You have to mine it, just like the old days. You know, it's only mineable, you know, totally fair issuance. It was announced in October and announced again and again several times. Finally released to mining on January 3rd, but that's called Raven Coin. You can see it on my Twitter, Bruce Fenton, or just ravencoin.org. And it's pretty cool. It's an exciting project. I just wanted to mention that since I'm on stage anyway. What else can I tell you? I guess I'll close with just talking a little bit about the condition of the markets and where we are. These are exciting times, and it's crazy. We saw these two kind of back-to-back, like 60% drops in a couple things. And the longer you're in this space, the more perspective you have. And it's really, really great to see the perspective where year one, it was like this many people, just this, you know, small group here. And it was down the street, and then eventually we moved into this bigger venue. We've been through a lot, and there's a lot of days like yesterday and the day before in this. And probably one of the most memorable for me was in October of 2014, when a lot of people got into Bitcoin at 800, 900, 1,000, 1,100, which was just so crazy high. And a lot of people put their whole life savings in it. And then they saw it go from 1,100 to 1,000 to 900 to 600 to 700, 500, 400, 300. I mean, you could have $1 million in it. Now all of a sudden you have $330,000. And I went on a stage at Jason King's conference in Orlando, and 15 minutes before I went, it went from 330 to 230, just like that. And you really start to wonder, is it gone? Was this real? Maybe it was all just phony. All of the news declared that Bitcoin was dead. All the media said blockchain was a fad that hadn't done anything. And then I went out in the audience, I said, was that it? And somebody said, F no! And it wasn't. And we stuck with it, went through this long period of almost no growth and stayed, and then it went down even more to the hundreds range. But we stuck with it because we believed in the technology. I think had you done an analysis of something like Spacesuit X, now I'm not saying just hold on to stuff forever, because you might be holding junk. And hopefully Spacesuit X is a tool that will help you determine whether this is an asset that has some real value or not. And that's my goal. As I said, it's free, it's open source, it's a gift for you to use. Hopefully you'll find some use in it. Please follow me on Twitter. We can communicate, and I'd love to see what you do with it. But good luck to you, and thank you very much. I'm glad you're part of this great community.